Hi, I'm Gable, welcome to the channel. Doing something a bit different from my usual multi-instrumental videos today. We are going to do a mouthpiece comparison. Now, if you would like to skip straight ahead to where I actually play different things on the different mouthpieces, I'll put the timestamp in the description. Just go have a look, skip ahead by all means. But if you want to stick around, I'm going to explain what these mouthpieces are, why I own them, and what they're sort of for. Okay, so first of all, one of the mouthpieces we're going to use is this Dukoff D5 plastic. Now, I don't know if it's particularly rare, but it's certainly the only one that I've ever seen. I swapped a Selma C-Star classical mouthpiece for it from a student of mine who wanted to get out of the jazz thing. He didn't really know what to make of this, and he wanted something a bit sort of easier to control for a particular piece he was doing, so we did a direct swap. Now, this has been my main mouthpiece, the Dukoff D5, for the majority of the last 6 or 7 years. I've had it for a long time, probably about 15 years, but haven't really used it much until recently. I decided to, 7 years ago, I decided to set myself a challenge of learning to control it and being able to embrace the Dukoff sound. Now, Dukoffs, as most sax players will know, are very bright, very loud, very sort of raucous sound, very modern sound a lot of the time, like think David Sanborn, that kind of, really edgy projecting tone, modern, bright tone. Now, I've been playing it consistently for 7 years or so, and while I like it, there is a lot to like about it. It's very loud. It's very easy to make yourself heard over, a guitarist with his amp up too loud, or a drummer that's playing particularly energetically, and if you don't have a mic, it can be very handy. It's hard to control. It's hard to play quietly. It's often hard to keep in tune, particularly with a soft reed that enables you to get that sort of bright tone. And so I'm trying to sort of keep that modern tone, but sweeten it a little, and sort of, not necessarily dark, but less harsh. There's a particular harshness with this mouthpiece up in the higher mid sort of range that usually you compensate by asking the engineer in the studio pull out a spike around the sort of 3.5 kilohertz mark. You pull that down and suddenly it sounds a lot nicer. But I'd like to not have to do that every time, so I was in the market for a new one. Now, before I was playing this, I was playing this, a Meyer 7, medium chamber. This was my transition mouthpiece from the classical, because I was classically trained on clarinet and saxophone. I had a very classical, refined, narrow tone, which was, nice for what it was, but completely inappropriate for jazz and modern stuff. And so my teacher at the time told me to go get a Meyer. I got a Meyer 5, and it was a lovely transitional mouthpiece. This is the usual mouthpiece that's recommended by teachers, including myself, when a student decides they want to upgrade from the stock mouthpiece that came with their Jupiter or Yamaha or whatever they're playing and go down the jazz path, the jazz or the modern or pop sort of path. Meyer is a wonderful stepping stone into whichever direction they're going to go. If they want a darker sort of, more traditional tone, they might go for a Link or something along those lines. If they want a more modern tone, they might go a Dukoff or one of the other options. A Meyer is a great place to start to figure out which direction you're going to go. And so I used this for a long time, probably about 10 years in between playing classically and, sort of playing professionally as a jazz and pop and rock player. That was my go-to. Now, the next mouthpiece we're going to include is another Dukoff. This is a D6 power chamber, as it says. Sorry, super power chamber. Now, hopefully you can see from the images, this has got an incredibly aggressive, what's called a baffle. It steepens the angle. It makes a very shallow angle between the reed and the mouthpiece for the air to go through and results in an incredibly bright, angry, aggressive sound. I really struggle to control this. I bought it from a friend who gave me this and the tenor equivalent for a bargain price, like $150 each or something like that. And so I've struggled to make any sense of it. Frankly, it just wants to squeak. It's nice in the altissimo register, all that stuff speaks really clearly, but anywhere else it's so bright, it's brutal, it's really hard to control. It just wants to squeak and be loud and obnoxious, and I've used it at a couple of gigs, and each time I get about 10 minutes in, I go, no, can't do it, it's just too out of control. But anyway, for the sake of comparison, we're going to chuck it in the mix. The last one we're going to use is this beautiful thing. This is a Theo Wanne Earth 2, actually. A friend of mine who is both a wonderful producer and a sax player himself, he said he got the Durga recently and that it was worth me trying out. So I was keen to try that. I was also keen to try the Elements series of the Theo Wannes, which they're more sort of affordable mouthpieces. If, you know, $450 Australian is affordable to you, then that's what this was. So in the Elements lineup, there is the earth, the fire, and the water. Now, the fire is aimed more at metal Dukoff territory. It's very bright. The earth is somewhat more rounded, a bit more versatile. It's still quite modern and bright, but it's not as aggressive as the fire. And then the water is a hard rubber mouthpiece aimed at the classical market, like the Selmer Sea Star and various other Van Doren mouthpieces. That's not really in my sort of wheelhouse, so I didn't actually try that one. But I did try the fire, and I ended up buying the earth, and I absolutely love it. This is just a gorgeous, wonderful, versatile mouthpiece. It's still got that lovely, bright, modern edge. It can still really project and cut across a mix if you need it to, but it doesn't have that harshness, that sort of unpleasantness in the upper sort of frequencies that the Dukoffs have, and it's much easier to control than this rotten thing. So, I'm going to play a bunch of different phrases. One blues phrase, a Charlie Parker blues called KC Blues. I'm going to play a David Sanborn version of a jazz tune, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, and I'm also going to play a sort of fast bluesy solo, fast funky bluesy solo that I've been playing for years as the opener to my show, and that I know perfectly. So I'm going to play the exact same things on 4 different mouthpieces. I'll organise them in terms of pieces, so 4 versions of the blues, 4 versions of the Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, 4 versions of the blues solo, just so you can hear them back to back in each of their categories. Anyway, let's give it a try. So, in conclusion, for me personally, the Earth just wins. It wins in terms of how easy it is to play and how it feels, the brightness of the tone, the sort of playability across the entire range, and just the tone of it. It's exactly what I was looking for when I went shopping the other day. Absolutely beautiful thing. The plastic Dukoff, it's still a nice mouthpiece, but it still does have that sort of harshness in the upper register compared to the Earth, and that's exactly what I'm trying to avoid. The metal Dukoff, it surprised me being quite nice on the blues tune, but on the sort of slow ballad one, it was awful, and it was just impossible to control on the fast blues one. It just wants to squeak all the time. And so it takes a more sophisticated player or a more controlled player than me to be able to tame such a thing. The big surprise for me was the Meyer. It's not as dark and sort of tame as I thought it was. It actually does have the ability to let rip a little bit, and it is a beautifully versatile mouthpiece. It's quite a dramatically different sound from the other three, but not unpleasantly so, and I think I'm going to start using that more often, particularly for the quieter gigs where it's more sort of applicable to really pull back and use a little bit of subtone occasionally. Yeah, lovely mouthpiece. After all these years, it's still quite playable. But anyway, can't recommend Theo Wanne enough. Absolutely beautiful mouthpieces. Join my voice to the chorus of those singing Theo Wanne's praises. Absolutely wonderful. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want more gear stuff, I've got no idea. I've got 5,000 subscribers or over that now. I've got no idea what you guys want because you barely ever watch my bloody videos. So let me know. Let me know what you're after and I will provide. I've got the spare time and the inclination to do so. All the cameras, all the lights. So yeah, let me know. Anything that I can help with, just chuck a comment in the description below and I'll see what I can do. Anyway, thanks as always for watching. All the best.